I turned back to Victor. "This stays between us for now," I said, standing. "But thank you, and be careful." As I left the coffee shop, a strange energy gripped me. Harper's intel could blow everything open, but the timing was dangerous. Location she sent me? The same private estate Sophia was planning to take me to next weekend, for what she called a surprise getaway. I arrived at the estate under the guise of scouting the location for Sophia's surprise. The gates opened with an almost ceremonial slowness, and the gravel road wound through towering pines until the mansion came into view, all white stone and glass. With a kind of cold beauty that never felt like home, Harper was already waiting, leaning casually against a delivery van. "Security's light today," she said, handing me a small key card. "I lifted this from a temp worker. It gets us inside most places." Inside, the estate was immaculate, too immaculate. Every room felt staged, like a high-end furniture catalog. No personal touches, no family photos. It was when we reached the west wing that Harper stopped and glanced around before sliding the keycard into an unmarked door. The hallway beyond was dimly lit and lined with metal cabinets. At the end sat a heavy steel door with a biometric scanner. "Her vault," Harper whispered. "This is where she keeps the kind of records you don't want in the cloud." We couldn't open the vault, but the adjoining room was unlocked. And that's where we found it. Stacks of manila folders, some stamped with red confidential labels, others marked with city names: Berlin, Lisbon, Jakarta. Harper flipped one open. Inside were detailed surveillance reports, complete with photographs, timestamps, and names I recognized: investors, business partners. A few of them were people Sophia had publicly claimed to lose touch with. And then Harper froze. "This one's about you," she said. The file wasn't thick yet, but it had recent photos of me, notes about my routines, and something showing in the margin: primary leverage and development. Status, 70% complete. I didn't know what leverage meant in her mind, but the cold realization hit me. Sophia's plan for me wasn't about partnership. It was about control. Complete control. Before I could process it, footsteps echoed down the hall. Not slow, curious steps, but fast, decisive ones. Harper mouthed, "Hide." Now, we slipped behind a shelving unit just as the steel door hissed open. Sophia stepped inside, phone in hand, her voice sharp. "Yes, I'm aware Victor's been sniffing around." "No, he won't be a problem. Neither will Alex, in fact. I'm moving up the timeline." Sophia paced slowly in front of the vault, the click of her heels sharp against the marble. Her voice, though low, carried that particular edge I'd learned to fear. 2 weeks is too long, she told whoever was on the other end of the call. I want it done in 5 days, no, 3. By then, Alex will have no choice but to comply. I exchanged a look with Harper, whose expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. Sophia stopped in front of the filing cabinet where my file had been. "Leverage? It's almost complete," she continued, tapping the folder. "I'll have the financials, the legal hooks, and," she smiled faintly, "the narrative. Once the press sees him the way I framed him, there's no walking away. He'll cling to me just to survive the fallout." Harper's hand clenched into a fist, but I caught her wrist before she could do something reckless. Then Sophia said something that made my stomach drop. "I've already scheduled the interview. He thinks it's a charity feature. By the time he realizes it's an expose, the contracts will be signed, and the optics will make him untouchable to anyone else. He'll belong to me." A phone buzzed, not Sophia's, but Harper's. She mouthed sorry and silenced it, but the faint vibration was enough. Sophia's head snapped up. Her gaze swept the room. She stepped toward the shelving unit, each heel click impossibly loud. Harper whispered, "We run on 3. But before she even reached 2, Sophia stopped. "I know you're here," she said softly. "And you've just proven why my plan will work perfectly." Sophia's eyes locked on the shadow where Harper, and I crouched. Her expression was calm, too calm, like a chess player who had already mapped out every move. "Come out," she said, her voice velvet and steel. "You've already heard enough to ruin you, Alex, or save you if you cooperate." Harper started to speak, but I stepped forward first, letting her see my face. "You've been playing this game for a long time, Sophia," I said, keeping my voice steady, "but you've made one mistake." She tilted her head, amused. "And what's that? You think you're the only one with leverage?" I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the tiny black device I'd been carrying for days, the encrypted drive. I've got the raw footage, every meeting, every payoff, every threat, and I've already made sure it's backed up somewhere you can't touch. Her smile didn't falter, but I saw the flicker of doubt in her eyes. If that were true, she said slowly, you'd have used it already. I stepped closer. Not yet. I needed you to reveal your full hand. Now I have it. She laughed softly. You think this makes you safe? I can bury you in 100 ways before morning. Maybe, I said, but if anything happens to me or Harper, every media outlet in the city will get a copy of what I've got. And you know how quickly an empire like yours crumbles when the mask slips. For the first time, Sophia didn't reply right away. She studied me, weighing whether I was bluffing. Then she smiled, but it was tight, calculated. All right, Alex, she said finally. You win for now. She turned on her heel and walked away, her heels echoing like gunshots. When the door shut behind her, Harper exhaled hard. That wasn't a bluff, was it? I looked down at the drive in my hand, the one that was empty. No, I said quietly. It was a promise. 3 weeks after that night, the city felt different, lighter. Or maybe it was just me. Sophia hadn't vanished, but her name had been scrubbed from half the companies she once controlled. Quiet investigations bloomed in the background, like cracks spreading through marble. And though she never contacted me directly again, I could feel her presence, a shadow just beyond the edge of the streetlight. Watching, waiting. Harper and I had rebuilt not just the business, but trust. The day after Sophia walked away, Harper found the real encrypted drive, hidden in the hollow of my apartment wall, the one with everything. We made duplicates, placed them in 3 separate safety deposit boxes, and left a version with someone neither of us fully trusted, but who hated Sophia more than we did. Insurance on top of insurance. One rainy morning, as I was locking the studio door, an envelope slid under it. No return address. Inside was a single chess piece, the Black Queen, and a note in Sophia's handwriting. Checkmate is never final, darling. It's just a pause between moves. I should have been afraid. Maybe I was. But I also knew this wasn't her declaring victory. It was her admitting the game was still on, and in some strange way, that felt like freedom. Because this time, I wasn't the pawn.